Hello and welcome into historic Keyworth Stadium for the final home regular season match for Detroit City FC in the 2024 USL W League season. It's Detroit City FC versus Kalamazoo FC. My name is Jared Mackey alongside Sean Grogan. Sean, we talked about how big the last game was against Midwest United. Detroit City FC answered the test, they answered the call, got 3 points left to do the same thing again today.
Oh, this is another absolutely massive game for Detroit. We are at the closing stages of the season. There are 4 teams that are eliminated and only 3 left in the playoff race. 2 of them out on the field here.
Clash between Midwest United and Detroit City FC, with DCFC coming out on top, getting all 3 points. That dropped Midwest United down to 3rd below Kalamazoo, who now occupy that 2nd spot. So 2 matches at Keyworth back-to-back, and also back-to-back 1st and 2nd place offerings on hand. So this is what you want as a head coach, as a fan, as those in the stands, and as players on the field as well. They want to play in these big games, these big moments, and they have 2 of them just 7 days apart. As we are getting ready to look at the starting 11 for tonight's match, we see Acadia Murphy come back into the side. That'll be a huge boost for Dave Dwayhe's side, as well as Ella Offer back into the mix. Joya Washington and Kayla Addison, that remains unchanged up top.
They generated a lot of opportunities last week, as we saw, so good to see them back together.
And we saw, of course, Kayla Addison getting a goal, and we saw Joelle Washington open the scoring. So when you can go back and immediately put those players back up top, and the team around them is stronger, as it was last week with Acadia Murphy coming back in, that's a good problem to have for Dave Dwayhe and his staff.
And on the other side, Kalamazoo has a very strong team this year. They only earned 1 point out of their first 3 games, but since then they have won 6 out of their last 7. Their only points dropped was against Detroit City FC. They tied 0-0 on Detroit on the road in Kalamazoo, and the first time they matched up. This was a Kalamazoo team that came into Keyworth last year and won 1-0. So this is a very strong test for Detroit.
And that was a frustrating 1-0 game, but also for Detroit City FC, the 0-0 draw on the road to Kalamazoo was equally as frustrating. I think both sides had some clear-cut chances, but it was Rouge that really turned the screw just a little bit more than Kalamazoo did. They generated more chances, more opportunities, just couldn't put one in the back of the net. So a good mix for chances there, and that game got chippy a little bit toward the end, so we'll see how that develops over 90 minutes today, as both sides are in desperate need of 3 points.
Yeah, with the stakes on the line, I would not be surprised to see a little bit of extracurriculars going on the field tonight.
Most definitely. So just moments away from kickoff here at Keyworth, with the sides breaking out of the huddle. Getting ready to go, and what is a massive day for the club. Of course, a massive USL W League matchup before the first international friendly at Keyworth Stadium since 2019, with the men's side facing off against Pumas of Liga MX. So really, you can feel the excitement, the atmosphere around Keyworth slowly building as we work up towards that 7 p.m. kickoff. And what a way to start it, other than getting 3 points here against Kalamazoo.
It is a very hot day also. It is, I think, 92 degrees at the time of kickoff. By the time we finish the second game today, it's supposed to go down to merely 85 degrees.
And it feels like every bit of that 92 degrees. It definitely feels like it here at Keyworth Stadium.
Thankfully, there is a little bit of a breeze, but it is hot.
And if it's hot up here, if it's hot 92 degrees on the app, it's way hotter down there on that turf as well. And Kalamazoo might have the benefit in some regard wearing those white kits, so we'll see how clear those are with the temperature. We're underway at Keyworth Stadium. Kayla Addison gets things started, plays it over to Kate Childers, who gets it to this near side to Drew Martin. Drew Martin been heavily involved this season, more and more as of late, the Western Michigan Bronco. We saw her and Emily Padgett develop a good relationship out there, the 2 Western Michigan players.
There are several Western Michigan players on the other side of the ball tonight, too, college teammates of them. Some grads, 1 high school Western Michigan commit for the other side.
And that's always fun. We always talk about how it's interesting to see those little battles, because they will train together for 9 months out of the year, and then when summertime hits, they're enemies. They're enemies, and if the game does get chippy, those will be interesting ones to watch, to see if those players are heavily involved or not involved due to their tight relationship off of the W League field. As Washington in some trouble now, some really good defensive work from her. The ball's eventually going to get out of the feet, but it's going to go the other way. That was Mackenzie Ford 21 on 21 right there. And I was hot just setting things up, hanging out, getting stuff, ready for this game to get underway.
Yeah.
And these players have been running for only a minute now, and they'll be feeling every single bit of that temperature here. It's sort of been a week for that. Been talking to some of the men's USL Championship players about training this week and how the heat has affected their workflows. So everyone dealing with it. Kalamazoo have dealt with it all week as well. So no hiding from it. But let's see if it makes a difference this afternoon. Luckily, both teams have to deal with it, so not one leg has the advantage over the other.
As this game wears on, I think the benches are going to become really important for both sides. As players get tired, this is cramping weather, and they will have to go to the bench.
And that's been a strong point of this Detroit City FC squad all season. We hear Dave Dwayhe talk about it. It's Sophia Romine, another strong point of this team, nearly wins the ball there in the midfield. But Dave Dwayhe's been incredibly open about how deep he feels like his team is and the options they have off the bench. So could be a huge part of tonight's festivities as Kayla Addison might be played through here. Kayla Addison's running through on goal. She wins the ball back. We saw whispers of a handball. I heard Kayla Addison from up here say the word handball, but the referee did not see it that way, so it'll stay with Kalamazoo.
I do think it hit off a hand there. I am not sure which hand it was, though.
Yeah, and if it and Kayla Addison's arguing that was Brielle Gomez whose hand it hit, who had to do some defensive work. And if it hit off of her, Addison's through on goal, and you think if the ref saw it, she would have given it, but top for the refs down there too. So I believe the fourth and the line judge are chatting about it. Of course, the line judge could have also piped up there if she thought she saw something out of the ordinary as Kalamazoo gets the ball into the box. That one's going to come in. Shriver was bested to it a little bit, but it goes out for a goal kick. We'll see it again here. Oh!
Does look like a handball on Brielle Gomez.
It's a swiping down motion, too, which would have helped it get to her teammate and maybe to her foot as well. So,
talking about possible denial of a goal-scoring opportunity in that case, though, Addison was not the closest one to the ball, so.
Right, and it was outside of the box, so it wouldn't have been a penalty, but maybe a red card. That's sort of a weird gray area where.
Yeah, there's.
But that looked intentional, so I don't know if that would add some. Who knows? That one's coming in, and Shriver gets a punch through it, but not fully.
Ooh.
Really had to be on her toes there with Shriver. It was chested down, and then we saw sort of not a bicycle kick. It was a standing bicycle kick.
Half bicycle kick, a unicycle
kick. Wow. Yeah. I don't think I've ever. That could be trademarked tonight.
That was a tricky little flick, though, a really dangerous opportunity. It's tough when you don't see the player wind up for the shot to even be in position to be ready for it. But yeah, Gabby Shriver up to the task.
Shriver came out at first, didn't really fully claim it, and then was really quick to get back across her line to get hands on the unicycle attempt. So good from that perspective. As the ball is in the hands of Shriver. Been an interesting first 4 minutes here with both sides progressing the ball down the pitch. Of course, Kayla Addison will feel hard done by with what she saw Brielle Gomez do, but it's out for Detroit City FC throw-in.
So we see a replay here of that attempt on goal.
Oh,
that
was nasty. That was nearly.
That is a tricky little flick.
Bailey Cohorn, of course, she is one of the more talented players on this Kalamazoo roster, a lethal striker.
She has 7 goals on the year so far for Kalamazoo.
And we knew that coming in that she would. She puts up numbers every single year for this Kalamazoo squad, and so and no shock that she's doing that again this year. As Martin does well to cut inside here and cut inside even more so to the midfield. She had Brooklyn Whitehead and Claudia Musig on skates right there on this near side touch line. That ball's going to be played in by Tefen. Tefen looking for Washington or Addison in the box. It's going to fall to the edge of the area. Kayla Addison's going to try to quickly get over to that one, and then Gomez again doing some defensive work on Addison. So that's an interesting battle to keep track of here in the first 5 minutes of this match is Kayla Addison on Gomez as she's going to try to stand tall for her Kalamazoo teammates.
Even though the ball went out of bounds there was a bit of physicality to try and win the ball. Both teams setting a high tempo early. It's going to be one of those nights. A lot on the line. And
we saw it in the PSL. Kayla Addison's not the player you want to get into a physical battle with in duels, running through on goal, anything like that. She's not the one that you want to be going up against, especially in this heat over the course of 90 minutes. As we see a good ball played through the middle here. Referee's flag was offside. There's
just offside. I thought the referee missed another handball just before that.
Really? There's sort of a I think there's someone in like a pink shirt by the line judge down there, and I didn't even see where the referee was. So I was worried the flag wasn't up and we'd see a through-on-goal situation. But nonetheless, it's going to stay with Detroit City FC. Arcadia Murphy making her return to the squad. It's going to get things underway. Of course, still no Avery Peters. Maya Sulis hasn't been around for a few games, so still, even though that there's some players that have contributed all season out there for Dave Dway, he's still some gaps in the squad, you could say. This one might go out. We'll see it go out for a corner for Kalamazoo. We saw the last one, they came close through Cohorn with that unicycle attempt, so they're going to want something similar on this one. I think they realize if they put it on Shriver, kind of have to make her come out and make a play. Anything could happen, just getting it into the mixer. Back line being marshaled by Arcadia Murphy and Gabby Shriver. Some players on that far post. This one's going to come in, go over everybody. That's a free header. That one on the turn, it's going to be into the hands of Shriver. Never really controlled there by Kalamazoo, but still a dangerous chance comes. It was bouncing around in the box before Shriver got her hands on it. So 2 corners for Kalamazoo, and they both worked in the sense that they've created opportunities, but nothing to show for it as of yet.
Some warning signs for Detroit early. Kalamazoo has had some good chances, especially off the corners. Detroit probably needs to mark a little bit tighter on those so they don't get those free headers.
See Offer and Tefen playing the ball amongst themselves. The first couple games of the year, we saw Ella Offer in acres of space on that far side that Tefen is currently occupying, so I wonder if at some point she'll switch as we see the chance here one more time. Just couldn't clear it out there to Drew Martin and fell to the hands of Shriver, and she's asking more of her back line. Paget now on the ball. Been excellent for Detroit City FC this season. Childers tried to scoop it into some space there for Washington. Great job by Washington to get a foot in. Not going to be able to get on the end of that one. Sophia Roman applying the pressure. Coming all the way back out to Gomez, but it's going to be touched on by Tatiana Mason. Mason finds Roman in the middle of the park.
Good to see Tatiana Mason back in the side this week.
Roman into the feet of Paget. Emily Paget retains possession and cuts back inside to Mason. Mason out wide to defend. Defend dribbles, tries to dribble past the defender, eventually creates a yard of space for herself. It's going to go off of the Kalamazoo defender. It would have been for a corner, but it's out for a deep throw in Kalamazoo's half. So early positive signs for Dave Dwayhe's side that they seem to have a knack of playing it out wide, getting it into the area. They seem to at least be doing the first part of that, is playing it out wide early on. Now it's just about getting into the area and creating chances for the forwards. Ella Offer gets turned there. That one's blasted all the way forward, but I think just a little bit too much on it. It's going to allow Shriver to come out to the very edge of the 18-yard box and get hands on it. Going to throw it to this near side to Romine. It's going to take a bounce off the turf before it bounces off of Romine. All the way back to Shriver, blasted forward. Paget was up for the header, unable to win it, but it was a missed kick there by Kalia Newcomb. Going to go off of Newcomb for a Detroit City FC throw-in. It's obviously a really small sample size, but since Shriver sort of asked for more of the team, it seems like that they've stepped up their game just a little bit in these last 3 or so minutes. Back into the midfield. Moosig's going to play it forward, headed off of Emily Paget.
The play does seem to be evening out quite a bit more, a lot more in the midfield. In the early going, Kalamazoo really had Detroit pressed back, except for the occasional break, but Detroit finding their own in the game now.
Back into the midfield. Kalamazoo on the ball, looking to get their momentum back just a little bit as Mason is able to poke the ball away and then get onto it herself. Martin inside to Murphy. Murphy plays it to Mason in the midfield, and Mason sees Defend in some space out wide. Defend pushing forward. Looking for Joyelle Washington, who was making a great run into the area, but it's poked out by Mackenzie Ford. But only as far as Paget. Childers looking forward, has Defend up with her as well as Paget. Paget dances away from danger and gets it back to Murphy. Murphy with the long ball over the top. Kayla Addison's through on goal. Kayla Addison into the back of the net. Detroit City FC, just like that, take a 1-0 lead. Kayla Addison, for the second game running, gets a goal, and it's 1-0 at Keyworth.
Oh, that's an absolutely brilliant ball just over the top of the defense. Fell right on Kayla Addison's foot, and she makes no mistake.
You mentioned it was just one ball over the top that unlocked it for Detroit City FC, and it doesn't matter how they come, doesn't matter when they come. It's just getting that early goal, breaking the deadlock, and Kayla Addison's done just that here after 11 minutes of play.
She created a ton of chances last week, eventually got the goal. Got one early.
See it again here. That was such a great ball from literally the midfield. The middle of the field, right in the middle of that circle, over the top. And once Kayla Addison's in that position, you don't feel like she's going to miss.
Just caught Kalamazoo a little flat-footed, a couple inches over their head. Perfect placement on that ball.
So now Detroit City FC able to operate from a position of being ahead. I think they grew into that game after the second corner kind of might have sent a shot across the bow, but now being able to operate when you're up 1-0, it's going to change how they go about things here after 12 minutes of play.
And Kalamazoo is going to know the stakes here. They're going to know that their chances at playoffs are on the line. They are going to have to respond, and I do not think that this Kalamazoo team will be as, let's say, pedestrian as Midwest was in trying to come back last week.
Yeah, Kalamazoo would really need a miracle to happen if they were to lose this game, if they still want to qualify for the playoffs. As Kayla Addison, once again, top of the area, plays it Romine. Romine touches it onto her left foot, pokes it forward to Addison. Addison finds Washington, but it's into the hands of the goalkeeper. So Kalamazoo sort of frantically going about these since the goal just a few minutes ago from Kayla Addison.
Detroit showing no signs of trying to sit back and hold on to the lead. They are going for a second. That's where they think they're best. They think they're best attacking, and that's good to see.
Yeah, and that's been the case all year. We've seen it time and time again. I think the worst about 15 minutes for Detroit City FC all year was that end against Midwest United last week when they were sort of playing defensively, doing a low block, and just trying to see out that game rather than going forward and attacking. I think game state had a lot to do. The subs they made had a lot to do with that decision. But when they operate from an attacking position, they play a ton better.
And they were on a 2-0 lead at that point until sort of a phantom penalty there. In the press box live, we had no idea what it was called for. I've watched the replay. I still don't know what it was called for.
Great ball finds Sophia Romine. Romine has Addison and Washington in the box. I think the ball's just going to take Addison a little bit wider than she would have wanted, but she has teammates up with her, sort of in deeper positions as Childers gets onto it now, plays the left-footed ball into some space, and the keeper's up for it. But that clever little touch to that near side touchline sent Sophia Romine through, and she had numbers forward. So since the goal, Detroit City FC's really been putting the pressure on this Kalamazoo back line.
Kalamazoo has a very good defensive record so far this year also. They have only allowed 6 goals in 10 games. One goal will go a long way because they are not going to concede many. Ellie Tiefend on the ball again, back out to the left back spot this week. Last week she, of course, filled in as a center back in sort of a selection crisis for Detroit.
That one's going to come all the way across to Fend, and she had Romine at the far post, but it's poked out of play, out of danger for a Detroit City FC corner.
She is looking comfortable out there on the left wing. I think it's her preferred position.
So out here now for a Detroit City FC corner. That one's going to come in. It was Addison that missed the header, and then Murphy even further beyond her at the far post. But that one's going to come out for a Detroit City FC throw-in. So if you don't think this Detroit City FC team didn't wake up after that goal, I don't know if you've been watching the last few minutes. As Mason slips in Romine. Romine plays that one across. Washington gets a foot on it, and it goes out for a goal kick. So a goal kick as I think she's looking for the ball or is seeing what's going on, but sort of a weird, not sure what's going on here. Ball kid has a ball right there. I don't know if this has to do with the heat. I think a Kalamazoo coach is running over to check on her. There is a trash can right there, so I'm not sure if that was related without saying too much. as the players will stop and as sort of this natural break and get some water to hydrate and get things back underway. This will be a positive slowing down for Kalamazoo. Kind of catch your breath, get a few sips of water in you, and kind of realize how you're going to break down and stop this Detroit City FC attack, which has been a total onslaught for the last few minutes.
They really need to regroup. I can see them discussing a lot of pointing, gesturing, where they want players to pick up marks down there on the sideline as we get ready to get back underway. Players coming back out towards the center of the field.
So Detroit City FC, if you're Dave Dwayne and his staff, no notes. Things have been going great so far. Those first 6-7 minutes were a little rocky, but all the work now has to come from the Kalamazoo bench, the Kalamazoo side, because they're the ones that have to chase the game as it currently sits.
We are back underway. Kalamazoo.
Yeah, good to see us back underway. Good to see that the Kalamazoo goalkeeper is feeling better. That's going to be number 30, Ava Wilberding. I accidentally launched Football Manager on my computer, so my already hot laptop's going to get even hotter.
That is.
As I was trying to find my notes, I launched Football Manager 19, so not even like the newest version of the game, and it's going to cook my laptop for the next 10 minutes.
Resource-intensive game.
You could boil an egg on my laptop right now, and this is not going to make it any better. Martin on the ball, near side, finds in Romine, and Romine seems to always have that 5 to 10 yards of space on this near side, sort of in that pocket. She does well to slip in Paget. Emily Paget dancing, takes a right-footed effort, blocked, and out for, thought it was going to be a throw-in, but Mason collects the ball, plays it forward to Washington. Joy Washington, 1v5, nearly dribbled past the Kalamazoo back line, but is able to hold on to it.
Still on the ball.
Romine dribbling into the area, elects to cut it back instead. She could shoot from here. Addison, a great 1-2 play between Romine and Addison. Romine's going to play it back into the area. It's going to go over everybody. But Emily Paget's going to collect it as a throw-in for Detroit City.
Does look like Kalamazoo is wise to the threat that Romine poses from outside the box. I can see as soon as she starts to look for that shot, Kalamazoo player just standing right between her and the goal, not allowing any shot to get off. It's about time somebody realized it, honestly.
And that one's going to go out for a corner kick. So Detroit City FC, they come out of the water break as intense as they were before the water break and looking to add a second goal to their tally early on in this one. That corner's going to come in. It was low. I think that was sort of a scuffed kick out wide there by Emily Paget, and it'll be a goal kick for the visitors. So, Sean, 19 minutes gone. What have you seen so far from the two sides, and how do you see this game going from here?
Kalamazoo came out of the gate really strong. They're trying to play pretty direct to Brooklyn Whitehead and Kaima Amakri up top. Detroit was really caught off early by that, but
it's rare. We haven't seen that once, where a team comes in and tries to play that direct and that intense.
And it is a testament to the quality that Kalamazoo does possess that they were able to catch Detroit out like that, because we have not seen that yet at this point of the season. But Detroit wised up. They seem to be controlling the tempo of the match at this point.
Mason tried to cut it inside and maybe fashion the space for a shot, but it's turned over. And that's what I was mentioning kind of on the broadcast during the Midwest United game, is obviously Midwest United has the talent and the quality to do so, but I just didn't feel like they were applying themselves in the early phases of that game, and then it slipped away. It's 2-0, and it's out of the realm of possibility at that point.
By the time they really seemed to find some intensity, we saw it late in the game. We know they've got it.
And that was what we were confused as to why that didn't show up in the first 20 minutes as opposed to the last 20 minutes.
Obviously we're both fans of Detroit, and for us to be steady.
Okay, dude. I don't know. I'm just an unbiased broadcaster.
Oh, that's true.
That's hired by the club to do this. I don't have any affiliation whatsoever. That one's going to come all the way in, and that one comes across. Murphy has to do some work to get it out, and then Martin eventually blasts it up into the air, and it's going to take a bounce before coming back into the mixer. Offside, though. This one won't count if it were to go in the back of the net, but it didn't. But, yeah, and then what's crazy, too, is when that intensity showed up, it only happened after a questionable penalty call that maybe wouldn't have been what would have happened? You know,
Right.
if that penalty call doesn't happen, does Midwest dominate the last 15 minutes of that game like they did? It was weird. It was so odd to watch.
It was like
them
gave them a breath of life, and
but you just wonder what the match would have been like if they had done that in the first 15 as opposed to the last 15. Game state becoming more and more of a known topic and discussed conversation, and the game state was already slipped away from them at that point. But then they nearly rescued a point. Detroit City FC here looking to get the ball back up the pitch for the first time in a few minutes. Kayla Addison playing a deeper role than what we've seen her so far. Comes back to defend. Far side. Poked over to Childers. Childers, of course, scored against AFC Ann Arbor on this end of the pitch just a few weeks ago. Paget cuts it back and plays it back over to Childers.
Kalamazoo defense really sinking in a lot deeper. They are leaving Amakri up top, sort of isolated by herself against 3 Detroit defenders.
It's pushed out for a Detroit City FC throw-in, so some good defending there from Kalamazoo. They're a lot deeper, but they've also, they've except for that one exception, they've done a good job keeping Detroit City FC at bay, as we're going to see an early substitute getting ready for Rouge down there on the near side touchline. But first, that ball is played in by Defend, but it's going to be blocked out for a throw-in. So we'll see when this sub happens. There's obviously some paperwork that has to be exchanged between the fourth official and the player. I believe that's Ella Kane getting ready to come into this one. You wonder if that's a heat thing. We mentioned subs would be important. Didn't know if we'd see one this soon, but 22 minutes and we already have a player entering the field of play for Detroit City.
Be interesting to see. I haven't seen any signs that any players are playing injured right now. Usually you can tell when a player needs to sub off.
Ella Kane, of course, just transferred to the University of Louisville. So be donning the red for the Cardinals next season. I nearly forgot what their mascot was, so that was huge for the Rolodex in my brain to figure that one out.
I could
just flipping through the. You could hear the papers rumbling. Yeah,
gears turning.
Rule's making his way up to the press box. So everyone's here at Keyworth tonight. It's going to be Joyelle Washington that's going to make her way off for Ella Kane. And we saw Joyelle come off in a similar minute against on the road to Cleveland last week. So we'll see it again here. Not sure if that's a heat thing, if that's a fitness thing, or what it is. So, but nonetheless, an early sub for Dave Dwayhe's side. Some pressure there from Offer. It's going to come all the way back and played forward. Shriver's going to be off of her line to claim it. Doesn't have to pick it up with her hands. No pressure on Shriver. She's going to elect to play it down the line to Romine, which is never a bad decision. And Sophia Romine nearly had the crowd at Keyworth on their feet with that little turn inside. Kane gets her first involvement on the ball. Sort of a heavier touch, but it stays with Detroit City FC through Drew Martin. Martin does well to get back to her feet. Paget tucking inside. Murphy's going to play it forward to Romine. Again, in this little pocket of space right here. Romine just flicks it over the defender and bursts forward, but eventually I think a heavy touch off the turf sees it returned by Madison Canada.
Does not look like a formational change for Detroit. They're still running 2 up top. Ella Kane slotting directly in for Joyelle Washington.
Like for like sub, we call that in the business. Yep. That one's going to be a foul. It's going to go against Paget. Paget's looking at the referee like she's been doing that pretty often this game, and we decided to call it now after 24 minutes, and I think her protest paid off. The referee gives a talking to Cohorn.
That was a minimal talking to, though.
It was a lot of hand motions. A lot of hand motions, though. I think the message of that is the next time it's going to be a yellow card. But as a striker, you can kind of play on a yellow and get away with it, I feel. Again,
that is true.
Having never played the sport. I think this train's coming by in reverse, as I don't see an engine on it, but I see the back of what looks to be a train car. So we'll report more on that once we have more intel on it. Martin. Back inside to Murphy. No pressure so far from Kalamazoo on the Detroit City FC back line when they have the ball in a settled position. Possession, excuse me. A missed kick there by Gomez. Kayla Addison's going to latch onto it and have some running to do. Addison cuts it inside. A great job to do so, but tried to find in Paget, but it's going to be cleared away. Kalamazoo's going to look to break forward here now. Good early work there by Ella Kane, but it's going to stay with the visitors. The crowd slowly building here at Keyworth as people file in for the 7 o'clock kickoff. Ton of Pumas kids around Keyworth, so clearly a good international friendly game to pick. Just a massive club all around the world.
Curious how many people traveled in from out of town for that game. It's probably quite a few.
Ton of people at last night's free meet and greet with Pumas players at Patton Park in Detroit. That was great to see, and just the kids' faces lighting up seeing these idols that they see on TV.
Get some autographs.
See them up close and personal. Yeah, it was awesome to see. As that ball slipped in, Padgett was making sort of a shaped run that could have put her in some dangerous positions if you're a Kalamazoo defender, but unable to be on that occasion. And you can just see it on the players' faces already. The heat is definitely getting to them, as we knew it would.
Both teams came flying out of the gate and were pressing heavily, and the press on both sides has really dropped off at this stage. We're only 26 minutes into the game, so the heat already taking its toll. And
you wonder, do you think the head coach would have mentioned that? Get out there, get an early goal, because both teams are going to tire them. You'd rather get one early than when both teams are, walking around on tired legs?
I'm sure it was discussed. It's another thing to be able to go out and do it as ball falls to Kayla Addison.
Yeah,
not
couldn't really
quite
settle it. Yeah,
able to control it.
Couldn't settle it down. That one's going to come all the way out. Kalamazoo now looking to just slow things down just a little bit. They've been able to do a good job of keeping Detroit City FC at bay these last few minutes. Really just forcing them into wide positions where they're unable to get it into an area, and then once it's put into the area, they're defending the box well enough to where it's not an issue for them afterward.
Nifty footwork there from Tatiana Mason to draw the foul. We're back underway.
See some coaching going on this near side touchline from Danny Evans, who of course was the PASL indoor coach in January, February, December. So good to see her on the staff, as well as also have be vocal down there on the touchline. And if she sees something, that's kind of the way this whole staff has operated all year. If they see something, they're more than welcome to pipe up and say it.
She was a very good player in her day. Still is.
Still is. I was going to say,
yeah.
I was going to cut you off if you didn't say that. Still is.
I played on a team with her for probably close to a decade.
Really?
Yeah. Oaken Yard.
She of course, was the head coach for the PSL squad, but also would have to play in some games sometimes when maybe the roster numbers weren't really there. And there was a couple chances she had on the road to Zoo City in the PASL that she'll definitely want back. She was through on goal a few times, had one of the best goals I would have ever seen in person, just so slightly go off and miss on that one. So still a great player, improving herself to be a great and valuable coach to Dave Dwayhe's staff, as well as a head coach for the PASL team. That one's going to go out for a DCFC throw-in. Drew Martin's going to run up to take this one. Great job there by Padgett to flick it over the head. It's going to be Ella Kane now with her first time on the ball in a dangerous position. A great step over is going to see it off-put the Kalamazoo defender enough to see it go out for a corner kick. So 30 minutes on the clock. Detroit City FC gets another corner. We see Danny Evans there relaying her message. Not sure to who, but
she was always like that when we were playing together. She was one of my favorite teammates to play with because she was always demanding more of us.
And that's a great quality to have as a coach, too.
She knows what she's talking about also.
Corner's going to come into the area. At the far post, it was going to be Childers. Addison latching onto it. Tatiana Mason finds the back of the net. Pick that one out. Tatiana Mason, and it's 2-0 at Keyworth.
That was a remarkable finish. No chance for the goalkeeper. Right in the top corner.
My voice has never cracked like that on a broadcast before. That's how good of a finish it was. You can't put it any higher and have it go into the back of the net. That's an exquisite finish from number 55 for Detroit City FC. 2-0 at Keyworth after 30 minutes. And this team, they proved it last week. They're proving it again so far here today. Big moments, big matches, they answer the call.
From top to bottom also, the players who are starters, the players who are coming in as subs, the players who are asked to play different positions. At this point in the season, pretty much everybody has done everything the coaching staff has asked of them.
And just like that, if you're Kalamazoo, we mentioned how important it was that DCFC got the early goal with how the legs were going to tire and the game was going to fade a little bit. But then doubling the advantage on 30 minutes, that's paramount for Dwayne and his staff.
They are in a really good place at this point as we see water break for both teams. This is
water, and cooling towel break.
This is the scheduled water break mandated because of the heat index.
And some still coaching going on here from Danny Evans to just get her final points across as now the message is still incredibly urgent, but a little bit easier to take when it's 2-0. See some fanning going on all around the Keyworth, but the spirit, the vibe is high around that Detroit City FC huddle. Not really the same for those in stripes to our right of the visiting Kalamazoo. You couldn't have asked for a better start for Detroit City FC. You really couldn't have. And we were mentioning it kind of off camera coming into this game that their magic number set at 5, needing 5 points from 9 games to secure, 5 out of 9 points, final 3 games of the season to secure a spot in the playoffs. And if they're able to win today, it'll be 2. Go to Midwest United in the midweek. That's always going to be a tricky one. But then going to Ann Arbor on Sunday, any win in those 2 matches, 2 draws, whatever it is, will get them into the playoffs. So they'll know that going into this this week ahead.
Of course, there are 1.5 places that will make the playoffs out of this division. That other half of that 0.5 is the Heartland division. Currently, it is not a team from this division. It's decided on points per game. It is Riverlight FC of Aurora, Illinois, who is in that spot currently with 2.2 points per game. Detroit is at 2.56 right now. Kalamazoo and Midwest both on an even 2 per game. So it does look at this point like there is only 1 playoff spot unless there is a shakeup in that other division coming out of this division.
And that's what we talk about. You know, with the whole every time we see those 1.5 playoff spots for the division, I laugh a little bit because it is silly. But you just want to win the division. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. You finish first, you don't have to worry about that. And Detroit City FC was in the mix last year for sort of that extra wild card spot. Didn't end up being the case that missed out. But and then with this little water break gives us a chance to mention the 2024 Northern Guard Pride Raiser campaign. Scan the QR code on your screen now. That last goal was worth $2,005.69 for the Ruth Ellis Center, as well as the first goal from Kayla Addison. So scan the QR code, cheer on your team, and support a great cause doing great work in the city of Detroit. Want that number to be at least $2,010, of course, 69 cents, before the half is over. So scan the QR code on your screen right now and make that a reality. As we're back underway here at Keyworth, Kalamazoo has a mountain to climb now. And we mentioned the heat and how that's going to play a factor. Now they have to chase the game, which means they have to maybe run 15, 20% harder to get back into it, and that's going to affect them as well.
Detroit does seem to have let off their press a little bit. They are just sitting sort of a mid-block, we'll call it, right in the center of the field, making Kalamazoo play through them rather than really putting the pressure on their back line when they have the ball. And they have the liberty to step off the press just a little bit because of the situation they find themselves in. They earn the right to do that. And, of course, if they see Kalamazoo starting to get a foothold back in the game, I think they'll shift back in doing so. But right as I say that, Kayla Addison gets out of the ball in some space here. Has patched it up with her. Kayla Addison, left-footed shot. That one's saved. A dangerous position to be in. A dangerous run by Addison, but a good save and a really crucial save by Wilberding down to her right. The shot didn't really have too much sting on it. Not really the sting that we're used to on a Kayla Addison strike, but nonetheless saved. So still 2-0 at Keyworth. Nearly 35 minutes gone. I'm Jarrett Mackey alongside Sean Grogan. Thanks for joining us on CBSDetroit.com all season, hopefully with some fun bidding process that has to take place. Hopefully you hear from us again the weekend of July 6th, which is set to be the first round of the W League playoffs. We'll see it again here. It gets sweeter every time I see it. It's an unbelievable finish. Inch perfect.
It's impossible to pick this year's goal of the season for this W League team. Sophia Romine, of course, has 3 entries in that argument. And then Tatiana Mason pulls that out. It's been an unbelievable year for incredible goals at Keyworth, and a lot of them on that side of the field as Ella Kane holds off the defender, plays in Kayla Addison, maybe just a little too narrow, and Gomez is able to poke that one out for a throw-in.
Of course, talking about goals of the season, first goal today, I think, was probably the assist of the season there, that ball over the top from Acadia Murphy.
Spoiled for choice here at Keyworth as Sophia Romine cuts into some space, going to get it onto her left foot here, poked away at the last second by, it falls to Mason, and then Tefen gets it, but unable to corral it with the first touch, gets it up on the second. Tefen plays it back to Offer. Offer back inside to Tefen. Tefen going forward on her own, tried to pick out Addison, but it's poked out at the last second. Immediately back to press as well, but Offer's going to be pressing from an advanced position. Childers does well to get a touch onto it. It's going to go out for a Kalamazoo goal kick. Paget been heavily involved so far this season. She's been incredibly available, and then every time she's played, she's been a huge impact for Dave Dwayhe and his staff.
She's been asked to play a number of positions for the squad, too, and she has stepped up, performed admirably in all of them. And
when availability is such a big deal and it matters so much, if you have a player that can sort of be a Swiss Army knife, and there's multiple on this squad, that's so valuable to the coaching staff as well as the squad as a whole. That one's going to be played forward. Looks like it's going to be Tefen that has some work to do, but going to get to it. Nice little step over there, and then takes the contact, goes down for a foul. So all around 10 out of 10 on that from Tefen, who's going to be thanked by her teammates.
Kalamazoo played that ball up for Whitehead, and it did not look like there was anyone who had any legs left to support her. She was sort of isolated against 4 Detroit defenders, had a lot of work to do.
Addison.
If Kalamazoo wants to get back in this game, they really need to start getting more numbers forward.
Kalamazoo's going to play it out wide on this near side.
Sophia Romine showcasing that she is not getting tired yet.
And I don't know if she ever does. I really don't know if she ever does. Mason's going to... It's so easy for me to say that, just standing here yapping. You know, like she's the one out there doing all the hard yards, and we're just sitting here talking. Right. I'm like, yeah, she probably doesn't get tired. Yeah, like what? Come on. Right. Martin now with some space to run forward. Has Kane up with her, has Romine on this near side. That one's going to come over. I think Kayla Addison knew she was offside immediately, and the flag goes up. But every time the ball stops, it's a moment where both teams can catch their breath. But if you're Kalamazoo, you really can't catch your breath because you have to go out and chase. You need at least 2 goals to get something from this game. And goals have been hard to come by against Detroit City FC this season.
Detroit's only allowed 5 goals in 9 games, similar defensive record to Kalamazoo.
And 2 of those were in the midweek on Wednesday on the road to Michiana in a game where it was 3-0 and then it ended up being a little bit closer of a 3-2 as if Ella Kane picked her head up a second sooner. She would have had Emily Paget, but Kane wins it back, has Kayla Addison in some space into the box. Great step over by Kane, makes her way into the area. That one's going to go out for a goal kick, and that shows you what the fresh legs of Kane's able to offer right there.
That was a wicked turn to break open that run for her.
Settled on the ground. It'll be a goal kick to Kalamazoo. 39 minutes gone, creeping up on that 40-minute mark. Played forward. Romine tried to go up for the header, loses out. Childers some great work in the midfield, the defensive midfield position. Advantage is played, so she would seem to have committed a foul there, but referee letting Kalamazoo continue to burst forward. It's going to be put out of play by Offer. Stays in the stadium. Oh, I thought it was going to bounce back onto the field just naturally, but some good Samaritan's going to go up and hand that one to the referee. Could be jinxing myself, but very few rare multi-ball moments this season for the men's and the women's team. The fans have been on point when giving the ball back to either a ball kid or just keeping it until they see the plays stopped. Just so much soccer IQ on display here at Keyworth this season. Shriver throws it into Martin, who's in some space. Martin running forward. Lays it off to Romine. Roman with a step over, sees it go out of play for a throw-in. So 2-0 Detroit City FC after 41 minutes. If you're just joining us, the scoring was started by Kayla Addison. And then doubled down upon by Tatiana Mason with an incredible strike with the left foot into the upper 90. It's rare you'll see an upper 90 as upper 90 as that, truly. That one's going to come in. Shriver had it claimed the whole way. Romine picks her head up, sees a great run over the top by Paget, but might have been just a little too soon. And it's going to be a goal, or excuse me, not a goal kick, but an offside, a free kick is what they call that.
She was onside there until she wasn't. The Kalamazoo defense wisely just stopped running, let her continue.
Played all the way forward. Great header out by Childers. Paget, I think, tried to do something clever right there, but it's going to come back to Paget regardless. I had Mason up with her and defend as well. Mason has it taken away. Kalamazoo could be in a dangerous position here. Has numbers 4. That one's going to fall kindly inside of the area. But a great defensive stand there by Ella Offer to get back and see that one out of play, out of danger, excuse me. It's going to stay with Kalamazoo in the midfield.
That was probably Kalamazoo's most dangerous opportunity in quite some time. Ella Offer did a really good job to shut it down one-on-one.
And it was a good spin inside of the area to create the chance, but then Offer was just so quick back to it. And that'll give Kalamazoo some much-needed confidence, just having a half chance like that. Sort of a miscommunication there between Kane and Romine to see who was going to step. But Kalamazoo, the last 45 seconds to a minute, have been really pushing the envelope and trying to get a goal here before the half to get one back. Good, clever build-up play there between Kane and Romine, just a little bit too much on it.
See a replay of that Kalamazoo opportunity.
It was a great turn in the area, but just poked out. Offer just unable to stay on her feet. Romine picks the ball up. Marauding forward, Sophia Romine slips in Emily Paget. Emily Paget, right-footed strike from outside of the area, and that would have alarmed the goalkeeper, Ava Wilberting, just a little bit. She dove at the end after the ball was already out, but you know,
was a little wide, but not that wide. Forced a dive out of the keeper.
It would have worried her for sure. Yeah, it would have worried her for sure, as evident by the dive. Kalamazoo in a lot of space there in the middle of the park. That one's going to be played forward. Offer's going to run over to it. Playing it back to Shriver. Shriver inside to Murphy. Murphy back out wide to Martin. Martin's clipped, and they're going to say that's no foul. That's a bizarre decision, but then eventually calls it. I don't know.
She was looking to play advantage there. None developed, so she whistled it back.
Because it was definitely a foul. I was never more certain of a foul in my life. Murphy restarts play with a right-footed long kick, trying to find Addison. It's going to fall to Childers. Has to fend up with her in some space out wide. And that seems to be the game plan for Detroit City FC. It's worked all season. Why change it now? To fend because it back inside to Paget. Paget with the right-footed effort. That one, you could see Wilberting a little bit just worried about when that one came in, and then she saw it sailing over and out of play for a goal kick. So no harm, no foul there, but it definitely would have alarmed her when she saw that shot come off the foot of Emily Paget. We'll see stoppage time signal. It'll be a 5 additional minutes of added time. You kind of know where that comes from. The Kalamazoo keeper had a moment to herself back there, and then the water breaks, everything spliced in. That's no shock to see 5 minutes of added time.
Does feel a little long in this heat, I'm sure, for the players who are out there running around.
True.
Realize they have to do it for another 5 minutes before they can go into the changing room.
Paget as well to get it back to Murphy. Murphy plays it inside to Martin.
But of course, it is 5 minutes that they did not play earlier, so.
And they spent that 5 minutes getting water, so it's a trade-off. To Fenn with a great, a very clever little back pass, and is going to burst forward into some space here. To Fenn's going to slip in Kane. Kane outside back to Romine. Sophia Romine driving at Kalamazoo, goes for the right-footed shot, and that's her range. That's totally her range to go for that shot there, and every time she does, you have to take it seriously because we've seen her score from there before.
I have seen her looking for that shot all game. Kalamazoo has mostly shut it down before she's able to take it. She saw her opportunity and decided to unleash it. You have to think as this game wears on that Kalamazoo will be a little bit later and a little bit later to the ball. May open up some more opportunities for her to unleash more of those long shots that have been so successful for her this season.
Addison tried to find the run of Martin. Murphy gets it up into the air, finds Mason in the middle of the park. Kane tried to get a touch onto it. Going to come all the way back out to Offer. Offer to Murphy. Kane with some space and time on the ball. She's going to go for the shot. And I don't know what she saw there. The keeper wasn't off her line, but it was closer than I thought it was going to be. Good shot. Maybe just keeping the keeper on notice right there. Letting her know that if she wanted to, she could do that.
With a touch of let's get into the
get
into the locker room.
Yeah. Just take some valuable seconds off the clock there for a sit down and some water breaks for the team. I don't blame them. It is hot here at Keyworth. If you're watching at home in air conditioning, we're jealous of you. We really are. Murphy going forward, finds Romine. A great touch there by Romine to kind of just take two defenders out of the game with one touch. Finds Martin. Martin eyes up and plays it all the way back to Offer. The versatility of Offer as well. We mentioned Paget playing different roles this season. Offer as well. She started most of the season as sort of a left back out wide, but then the last few games has had to deputize as a center back, and sometimes she's the left center back, sometimes she's the right center back. So great versatility on display by her as well. That one takes a few skips around before being played up and out. Martin into Romine. Oh, Sophia Romine, that's unbelievable. And yet again from Sophia Romine has Kayla Addison at that far post. Sophia Romine plays the right-footed ball across, finds Paget. Emily Paget with the right-footed strike and into the hands of the goalkeeper. And that pretty much shows you what Sophia Romine's all about.
Beat two defenders, drew more towards her side, ended up opening that entire left-hand side of the field.
You have to mark her no matter where she is on the pitch because of how dangerous she can be and how quickly she can turn nothing into something.
With multiple players even sometimes.
And even just like we saw right there, even sometimes that doesn't work out. Shriver gets the ball to Mason and Murphy. Back to Murphy. This feels like they just want to get in the locker room. But a turnover here as Cohorn's looking to break forward. Referee's gonna call that as a foul. I don't know how real I feel that was. So we're not going to the locker room just yet, folks. We'll see a free kick here from Kalamazoo. I don't know how real that was. If you see Sophia Romine just absolutely taking defenders out of the game. The right-footed ball across. Found Paget. I thought right here Paget might have played in Childers, who was making a good run right there, but goes for the shot, and it wasn't far off.
Yeah.
So Kalamazoo, a free kick here.
From this distance, they probably have an opportunity to go take a direct shot right at the goal.
Cohorn, this quality she has, is going to fancy herself to get this one. It was on target. Just not enough power or sting behind it to worry Gabby Shriver. And right after that, the whistle goes. So we are into the half here at Keyworth Stadium. Detroit City FC sitting good with a 2-0 lead over the visiting Kalamazoo FC. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for the second half of action live from Keyworth Stadium. Welcome back to Keyworth Stadium for the second half of USL W League action. It is 2-0 Detroit City FC over the visiting Kalamazoo FC. I am Jarrett Mackey alongside Sean Grogan. Sean, it was a first half for Detroit City FC that could not have gone any better for the side. What did they do well, and what did Kalamazoo kind of struggle with as the half wore on?
Well, really in the middle of that half was the dominant period for Detroit City. They did a very good job of circulating the ball, generating quite a number of opportunities for themselves, forced the Kalamazoo defense to sink back, and then Kalamazoo was not able to generate much going forward to support their strikers when they did try and counter.
As we see more coaching here from Danny Evans, it was revealed to me at halftime that when we mentioned Danny Evans was doing some coaching down there, she was telling the players, shoot it whenever you can. And seconds later, Tatiana Mason puts it into the top left hand corner of the goalpost. So clearly worked, and it's 2-0 City. So in many ways, Danny Evans the one to thank for that second goal. She goes over to talk to the goal scorer. And I imagine the message is going to be relatively similar. Like, just keep doing it. We're doing a great job. Why switch it up?
I would imagine that is a big part of the message that was delivered to them in the locker room, because this has gone very well for them so far.
Sort of an extended halftime here as both sides are taking their time to get back to the center circle. Of course, the heat playing a factor in that, but just not a ton of urgency from either side. And that group right there, Kalamazoo, has some work to do in the second half if they want to leave Keyworth with anything. And that side right there, Detroit City FC, locked in the first 45 minutes. We'll look to replicate that here in the second 45 of play as both sides eventually make their way over and get in their starting positions. Of course, switching halves for the second 45 of action as Gabby Shriver gives a fist bump to Acadia Murphy.
Does look like two unchanged sides to start the second half. No halftime subs this time around.
Are you surprised by that with the conditions and where the game's at right now?
A little bit, but I think Detroit has the ability to sort of sit back and respond to any Kalamazoo subs. They want to sit back, watch what Kalamazoo does, because Kalamazoo is the one who has to change what they are doing to really chase the game at this point. So Detroit can be reactive in this case as they sit on their 2-goal lead. Well, they will not want to sit on it. They will.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, obviously, not making the subs now has its advantages and disadvantages, but also at the same time, like, if a player comes in and plays 30 minutes, they can give you that much more than if they came in and played 45. So we'll see how that dynamic affects things. As Detroit City FC immediately just goes back to what they've been doing best all season, playing out of the back, quick 1-2 little passes here and there to open up space further up the pitch, and it's a formula that's worked for them all season so far. Through now, after this one, 10 games. Ella Kane running into some space with some speed on the far side. Dances past the defender, but some really good defending out wide. Kane's going to get to the goal line. Tried to cut it back, but just kind of ran away from her there off of the turf, so it's out for a goal kick. That was good defending there by Ariana Stolzfus. First time we've said her name this afternoon. Hot afternoon here at Keyworth.
I thought Kane was going to break free there, but Stolzfus did really well to get back, get a shoulder on her, slow her down, see the ball out of bounds.
Kane is such a dangerous player when running through on goal, the speed and also the quickness of the feet. So, yeah, every time she kind of gets the ball and it has space to run, you kind of realize that it could be a dangerous opportunity. A throw in here deep. It's going to be taken, chested down by Kayla Addison. A great job to maintain the ball. That one's going to be played all the way out into the top of the area, but headed over to Sophia Romine. A great touch inside by Romine. Sophia Romine into the area. Plays the ball across, and that was a great little disguised ball across the face of goal, but it's going to stay with Detroit City FC. To Fenn now, lines up a shot. That one's going to come in and into the hands of the goalkeeper. That would look great from our vantage point.
Romine looked a little surprised there that nobody stepped up, but if no one did, she's going to take that space and just continue on.
Why not? Why not? Player her quality.
Take what the defense gives you.
To Fenn is going to receive the ball. Paget, a nice little touch back to defend. To Fenn, a great job to get it back to Paget. Nice little 1-2-1 right there. Back to Shriver. Shriver over to Drew Martin. Drew Martin pushes the ball forward up to Kane. Kane back to Martin. Martin's going to throw it forward. Cohorn in the midfield, who's still, the referee's honest, one foul away from picking up a yellow card. Doing a good job of keeping herself in check since that little discussion with the official. Great job there by Mason to win the ball back, but gives it away. Looking for Paget. Newcomb now running forward. Tried to slip in Musig. It's going to go out for a Detroit City FC throw-in. Deep in their own half. Paget. Mason tried to slip it inside. Paget playing it forward and out of play. So it'll be a throw-in to Kalamazoo here. Kalamazoo into the area. That one's going to come all the way across. A sort of an errant first touch, and that will see it out for a goal kick. So no harm, no foul from the Detroit City FC back line there.
Does look like Kalamazoo is chasing a goal, trying to get back into the game. This does remind me of the early minutes in the first half when Kalamazoo created a number of opportunities pretty quickly there, and then Detroit grew into the game.
That one's played forward. Kane, and that touch inside right there would have been so lethal because it would have opened her up to being through on goal. But regardless, it's going to stay with Detroit City FC, just sort of at the middle of the pitch now. Tatiana Mason. Shouldering the pressure off, plays it back to Murphy. Murphy's going to play in to Fend. That was a really casual first touch by Tefend, but it really could have been. And Tefend creates a few acres of space. Yards of space, excuse me. That left-footed ball is going to come into a dangerous position, but into the hands, I thought it was into the hands of the Kalamazoo keeper, went all the way across and out for a throw-in on the far side. So a dangerous flash there across goal goes out for a throw-in. So sigh of relief there from Kalamazoo as Mason gets another foot in. She's been excellent today all over the pitch for Detroit City. Poked all the way back out to Martin. Martin slips in Mason again. Mason to Paget. Paget over inside to Martin once again. Slips in Kayla Addison. Kayla Addison with the right-footed effort, and that took a deflection. It will be out for Detroit City FC corner. The second goal of the game came from a corner that fell kindly to Tatiana Mason, so we'll see if that same formula is on offer here. Kayla Addison's been such a physical presence up top today and has the goal to show for it, has the chances created to show for it. So impressive the motor that she has on her, considering today's conditions. Of course, scored a huge goal for Detroit City FC against Midwest United last week. Big goal for the club, but also a big goal for her as well after a performance that she would have been disappointed in Cleveland. That one's going to come in. It's going to fall to Emily Paget. Emily Paget creates the space for a shot, but eventually is cleared off of it. And that was really heads-up defending there by Mackenzie Ford, and it really needed to be because the ball was in a prime position to be striked by Emily Paget.
Just arrived at an awkward height for her by the time she was able to bring it down. The Kalamazoo defense had closed, and she wasn't able to get the shot off. Still took a touch between two Kalamazoo defenders and nearly managed it.
Murphy nearly got ahead on that one, but Ella Offer has some defensive work to do and does it brilliantly to see it out for a throw-in for her side. Staying with Rouge now. It's going to be at the feet of Murphy before playing across to Ella Offer. Detroit City FC has the liberty of being able to slow things down just a little bit when they want to, take their foot off the gas in pockets to try to, maybe get some stamina back, some freshness in the legs before attacking once again. But that one's going to turn it over to Kalamazoo.
time is on Detroit's side right now, but they don't want to take their foot off the gas too much. Like
a great turn in the box. That one comes in, but Shriver answers the call and makes the save.
Kalamazoo does have the quality to claw themselves back into this goal if Detroit is too lackadaisical in their defending.
Getting ready for the corner is Kalamazoo. We got 2 players right on the goal line, but Detroit City FC has 3 sort of in that zone to counter that. Corner's going to come in, and that was nearly a clever flick at the near post. It's going to fall back to Kalamazoo at the edge of the area. It's going to come in, sort of a half-hearted attempt there from outside of the area by the visitors. It's going to stay with them, though, and that one's just going to take an awkward bounce off the turf and up out of play for a Detroit City FC throw-in. See it again here.
Nice turn by Amakri.
Amakri's been done that a couple of times, spinning the defender inside of the area, and this is the first time it leads to a shot on goal.
That was a strong strike, too, but Shriver perfectly positioned.
A lot of loud train noises happening tonight. That one, Cohorn tried to take a step inside of Ella Offer. Offer was having none of it. And now Detroit City FC, they're so quick in transition, and right now it'll pay off for him as Kayla Addison's running through on goal. Has Gomez up with her. Kayla Addison left-footed, tried to just poke it past the goalkeeper and into the back of the net, but it's saved, and a good save, all things considered there by Wilberding.
Really looked like Addison there wanted to cut it back onto her right foot, but if the defense is going to give you the left side, take what they give you.
Kalamazoo now will feel better about things with the last couple of minutes, seeing a few chances for them. A little moment of danger with Kayla Addison able to be in that space and fashion a shot from that close to the goal, but it was dealt with well by the keeper in the back line eventually. So still a 2-0 advantage for Rouge.
This game is starting to have a pretty open feel, as we saw a quick opportunity for Kalamazoo followed by quick opportunity for Detroit.
Yeah.
As Kalamazoo chases that second goal, they're really going to open up space for the Detroit attack. And there is pace in the Detroit attack that can exploit that.
And we saw this a lot against Midwest. Gabby Shriver, the ball came to her feet right there, and she didn't pick it up right away because she didn't have to, because there was no pressure coming onto her from the Kalamazoo forward. So we'll see at what minute mark Kalamazoo flips that switch and starts pressing Shriver when she's able to just, take a few ticks off the clock. I think against Midwest, we talked about it earlier, that switch was flipped in about the 78th minute after their penalty to claw a goal back and make it a 1-goal deficit. So we'll see when Kalamazoo is going to elect to make that tactical switch to press the goalkeeper. Because right now, Shriver has all the time in the world to take seconds off of the clock. Mason tried to slip in Kane. The Kalamazoo backline has done a great job dealing with Ella Kane, except for 1 or 2 moments here or there, but otherwise a great job to keep her at bay and extinguish the threat that she possesses. That one's played forward. Ella Offer's going to have some defensive work to do, and like we've seen all night, she's done it well. And a foul is going to go against Kalamazoo as well. So not only does she win the ball, win the foul, take some seconds off the clock, and we'll see 2 subs here for the visitors. Looks like it's going to be, we'll see, the referee, fourth official has her hand in the air, so we'll see when these subs actually take place. That's Callie Cunningham getting ready to come in. I believe that's Hannah Thompson as well on the near side touchline, so we'll see who those subs are for and when they're allowed to happen. Looks like the free kick's going to happen first, so probably the next stoppage of play. Clever header down by Addison to Ella Kane. Ella Kane bursting through with speed, finds Addison. Kayla Addison through on goal. It's 3-0 Detroit City. But Sean Grogan knew better than I did, was tapping my shoulder the second that ball was played through, and the flag is up. So that one will not count, to the dismay of everyone at Keyworth. And someone lit off the smoke bomb. They didn't know. They were unaware.
Ref did allow that play to go on for quite a time after the flag was already up.
And that would have been one of the tighter offsides that we would have seen. Looks like number 14 is coming off for Kalamazoo. I think they got another sub on there as well, as I see. No, maybe I think Coram was just coming to speak to the bench. So looks like number 14 and number 2 Claudia Musig come off for the visitors, being replaced by Kaylee Cunningham and Hannah Thompson. But that was a close offside call, Sean. I don't think it was evident that she was off. Maybe to you it was, but
it was evident because I was watching the assistant ref because I knew it was close. I did not know that it was.
Okay.
Certainly
you
an
didn't know
offside.
for sure. Yeah,
I knew to look at the flag.
I gotta look at the ball. There's so many things to look at. I have 4 eyes. You think that would help, but unfortunately, no avail on this occasion. Chad Alio disapproved of that joke in the press box. Tefen's going to have some work to do, and you're doing a full length of the pitch sprint 58 minutes into a game where it's about 99 degrees down there on the field. It's a lot to do, and we'll see 2 subs here for Detroit City FC. Looks like number 7, Danny Steffen's going to enter the match for Tatiana Mason, so a great shift from Mason, of course, scored the second goal. And then number 15, Hannah Crum's going to come on to replace number 9, Kayla Addison. A great shift by those 2 players, and the goal scorers come off, so now no goal scorers on the pitch for Detroit City, but replaced by players of great quality in Crum and Steffen.
Both those players have worked very hard up to this point in the game. Maybe just a little bit of fresh legs.
And while it's hot today, another thing for Dave Dwahey and his side to think about is the fact that they do have 2 more games this week. Obviously going to Midwest United on Thursday, and then going to Ann Arbor for the season finale, regular season finale, on the road to Ann Arbor on Sunday. So not just the heat today, but also the week ahead for this squad. That's going to factor into these substitutions as well.
As we have seen this season, Detroit does have a very deep pool of players who are available to play. So they feel no qualms about going to the bench because they don't think the level is going to drop at all by bringing in subs. In fact, if you've got tired players, the level may rise again by bringing in those subs.
And Dave, like I mentioned earlier, Dwayhe's been so complimentary of the depth that his squad has, and I think that's the difference this year to years past of Detroit City FC women's squads. Like the quality that they're able to put out on the road to Cleveland, on the road to Midwest in a midweek. It's just a step above of where it's been with the depth. I think the first team squad has usually been pretty competitive in the W League, but to have the depth, the options off the bench to rotate when you have to, is really what's making the difference this year, I think, for Le Rouge.
They've always had a team that seems competitive with the top teams in the division, but I really think it's the consistency this year that sets them apart, and that really is that depth you were just talking about. And,
we saw it last year where Detroit City FC was in a spot where they could have made the playoffs toward the end of the season, but then there was a week where a few players found themselves unavailable for whatever reason, and they dropped a match to Flint. They dropped 2 matches to Midwest United, all sort of in a week. It got away from them that quickly. And speaking with Dwahey before the match, that's how quickly it can happen in the W League. You have one bad week with how tight this division is, you could fall out of the playoff picture altogether. So, the depth really helping with that this year for the W League team.
Kalamazoo had a bad week to start the season, and they've been clawing their way back into the playoff picture all season long. There really aren't that many games, only 12.
And when you say bad start to the season, I mean, you're talking just 2 games at the start they got away from them, but because of how competitive this division is, that alone can put you out of contention. That one's headed all the way back to Shriver. And again, you see this, Shriver's not having to pick the ball up. She's kind of just hanging out, and I figured she was going to pick it up right about there and take some more seconds off the clock.
Earn 3 or 4 seconds there.
Which is all it takes sometimes. That one's played forward. Oh, Crum tried to get a foot up to it. Does well to kind of track back and still apply the pressure even though she missed the initial touch. Acadia Murphy sort of in a forward position there, having to do some defensive work. And we see that sprint all the way across the pitch there from Madison, Canada. Not too many times you want to be doing that in this heat. Great job there by Murphy to see that one out of play, because it was a dangerous touch into some space right there for the visitors inside of the Detroit City FC penalty area. Of course, this game, the first of a Keyworth Stadium doubleheader here this evening with the USL Championship men's side welcoming Pumas of Liga MX, one of the biggest clubs in North America. So everyone in the stadium today on hand, just treated to a great day of soccer from Detroit City FC, and hopefully kick things off with a massive 3 points for the USL W League squad. That one's going to go out for a goal kick. Took the referee a second. I think Danny Steffen was the first to signal it was a goal kick, and then eventually the referee got over to it.
See the two of them joking together right here.
Yeah, I don't know if Steffen has a refereeing license, but
they looked like they were talking about hair bands there.
So Detroit City FC looking good here after 63 minutes of play have elapsed at Keyworth Stadium. Just over an hour into this contest as Hannah Crum leaves a shoulder in there, and the player's going to go down right around the Kalamazoo bench. Good to see her get back up and back in action. That was Madison Canada who went to ground, and I think Madison Canada's probably been one of Kalamazoo's more impressive players. She's been everywhere when she's had to be, and that's not easy to do in conditions like today. I think she's just asking a little bit more from the line judge there to spot something. We mentioned in the open that this match, the reverse fixture of this in Kalamazoo earlier on in the season, got chippy toward the end, so I wonder if we'll see that frustration sort of bubble over as these seconds tick by for Kalamazoo. Gomez throws a leg at it. It's going to be headed up into the air. Some defending to do from Ella Offer, and she's been fantastic all evening when called upon. All season when she's been called upon.
That is true.
Good job there to keep it alive. Some clever play along the far side touchline. We're going to see a throw in or a free kick. Free kick. All right. Murphy's taken. This is going to be a long one from Murphy. Has Paget in some space, and unlucky bounce off the turf there. Sees Paget beaten to it by the substitute, Kaylee Cunningham. Tefen steps into some space, unable to corral it under her feet, was looking to play in Crum right there. That one's going to be played forward as Tefen was caught in an interesting position. It's going to be all the way in, and that one goes off the crossbar. And Kaylee Cunningham involved already. That one came all the way across, and they're not going to have an easier chance to score all season. Kalamazoo right there. That one brings off the crossbar, and now in transition, Detroit City FC commits numbers forward. Kane running at it, throws the right footed ball into the area. Crum forces a great save out of Wilberding, and what a 20 seconds that was. End-to-end stuff here at Keyworth.
My heart rate is through the roof. I can feel it in my
Yeah, and in the flip of a switch, you had Detroit City FC nearly conceding a goal to make the score 2-1, and then almost scoring a goal to make it 3-0 and put the game to bed in a lot of cases. As the corner comes in, it's going to fall to Childers. Childers plays it down the line to Paget. Paget with the right-footed ball across. Communication there between Murphy and Crum. It's going to go out for a Detroit City FC throw-in. We'll see it again here. Cunningham played it across, and wow.
That's a ball with some pace on it. Pretty hard to react. She got a head on it, but just not able to get enough control on it to see it into the net. But
you don't see Cohorn miss chances like that too often.
That was very close.
If there's any player on the field you want that ball to fall to, it's Bailey Cohorn, and it did, and she just wasn't able to see it fall into the back of the net. So a sigh of relief for Detroit City, and then a sigh of relief from Kalamazoo on the other end of the pitch just seconds later. It's like Hog Deeney, the Watford thing.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Ball knowers.
A couple years back.
Ball knowers rise up. That clip, I've seen that clip 1,000 times, and it still gives me chills every time I watch it. That one's headed out by Danny Steffen. Game slowed down to sort of a pedestrian pace at time whenever there's been a stoppage in play. I don't know if someone in the crowd caught that. So we heard a applause once that came into the stands. I don't know if it's a foul throw or the official was just unhappy as to where the throw was taken from.
Does look like it will be whistled for a foul throw because it is Detroit's ball as we get.
Yeah, that's a great save, and
Just
with Crum as being the lethal finisher that she is, like, it's not often you see that save come in from a shot at such a close distance like that as well.
That's a point-blank opportunity to be able to get your hand down like that and have the hand strength to keep it out of the net.
I mean,
pretty impressive.
Yeah, like you mentioned the pace that the cross came in for Cohorn on the miss just seconds prior from her. I would almost argue that the Crum miss is arguably not worse, but one she wanted to have back more than Cohorn because of the pace that cross was whipped in with. But also Crum was kind of arriving to it late, and they're both really great chances, and one of them had a good save, and the other one you thanking the crossbar for if you're Gabby Shriver.
That is the beauty of the sport in many respects, that fortune's always hanging on one split second.
That's why people love it.
Games
beautiful game.
Usually remain pretty tight.
That one's played forward by, I believe that was Murphy looking for Ella Kane, and Ella Kane came on about 20 minutes into this one and has been an engine going forward for Detroit City FC when needing to be. Tafenda in no hurry to take this throw in at all as we're creeping up on the 69th minute of play, 68-30 down. Detroit City FC sitting comfortable with a 2-0 advantage over Kalamazoo. And it's been a deserved 2-0 so far. Would you agree, Sean?
I think the bulk of the chances have been on Detroit's side. Pretty even in the second half, though. Kalamazoo has had a couple of chances. But certainly, overall, I would say Detroit.
That was an odd one, as the official looked like she put the whistle to her mouth and then elected to play the advantage for Kalamazoo. So not sure if that was a mistake reaction there, or if she thought that she was going to drag it back before seeing the play develop. I imagine that's what it was. As that one's played into the area by the person that nearly set up a huge goal for Kalamazoo to get back into this one, but it's dealt with by the back line of Rouge. Ella Kane applying the pressure. Kalamazoo now driving into the area. Hannah Thompson's going to slip it in, and Shriver had to get down to it. It was a really great run across there by Brooklyn Whitehead. Did well to get the shot off, but Shriver was down to her left to make the save and keep her side's advantage at 2. See it again here. This was the chance that Cohorn will want back, and it was a great job to create the space there by Callie Cunningham. But it was eventually cleared out and off of the crossbar for Detroit City. Physical battle there in the midfield. Hannah Crum goes to ground, but the referee lets play develop. Ella Kane tried to slip in Paget. I thought for a second there Kane was just going to make the run out the outside and create something dangerous that way. Cunningham again. Been a spark for Kalamazoo since coming on. That one's going to be poked forward, and as we've said it all the second half, that Shriver is zero hurry, zero reason for her to pick that one up immediately when she can take valuable seconds off the clock.
Kalamazoo is really chasing that second goal at this point. I've noticed they're leaving 3 players high with some attacking mids behind them, whereas earlier they were only leaving 1 or 2 players high, and they have created several opportunities with that strategy. So some chances that could bring them back into this game.
As Martin sees that one, and a little bit alarming there, the way Martin wasn't able to get a touch on it, but eventually has Brooklyn Whitehead get a touch on it. It'll be out for a Gabby Shriver goal kick, as we have another substitute coming for the visitors here on the near side by the 4th official. I believe that's going to be Brenna Musso coming into this match. Is she replacing Cohorn?
Yeah. Musser, the captain at Northern Michigan last year.
It's not Cohorn.
Scored the game-winning goal in the GLIAC Championship.
It's going to actually be Brooklyn Whitehead, so her last contribution was touching the ball out of play for a Gabby Shriver goal kick. It's going to be wild to be a student athlete at Northern Michigan. Just living up in the UP, just hanging out, playing some soccer on the side. It's awesome.
That's a relatively new program too.
Yeah, I was going to say that the area doesn't really strike me as a soccer-rich area, so good to see them getting involved in the beautiful game at the Pleasant Peninsula. Is that Upper Peninsula, Pleasant Peninsula? Am I making that up? I swear that's a tagline for the UP. Ella Kane's going to apply some pressure here. Sort of a heart and mouth moment there for Kalamazoo's back line, but dealt with well by the goalkeeper. Really composed way to come off of her line and get a touch onto it.
Isn't that like the motto of like all of Michigan? Isn't it the phrase like, if you seek a pleasant peninsula, look around you?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Seal of Michigan. I don't know how looking up Pleasant Peninsula gets you on the Seal of Michigan, but I guess it does. Great ball by Crum. Looks in for Romine. It's going to take her a little bit wide, but I think she'll get onto it. And that's a full sprint from Sophia Romine. 73 minutes into a match played in 90-plus degree heat. That's exceptional from Romine.
Able to save it from going out for the throw-in. Unfortunately, goes out for... Oh, does look like it did exit the field for a throw-in. That's probably preferable from Detroit's perspective. Keep Kalamazoo pinned back into that corner rather than give up the goal kick.
Yeah. And the state motto of Michigan is, if you seek a pleasant peninsula, look about you. So I guess you could argue that the UP, I mean, it is pleasant up there. Yeah. It's beautiful up there. So great sidebar. Good local commentary right there. That one's out for a throw-in. Want to give a quick shout-out to those running the camera for today's match. Chris Mills and Orlando Ford up there doing a great job battling today's heat and getting us some great looks at some great action here. So props to Orlando and Chris up there. Hopefully the first thing they're handed when they come off the Keyworth press box is a ice-cold cup of water. I guess I say that the honest, I could do that, so I might try to do that. Childers now, a great turn by Childers to keep possession. Plays into Fend. Defend, some work to do out wide. Does well to cut back inside. Finds Paget. Paget plays a right-footed ball into some space. It was attempted to be a clever touch through there by Childers, but ends up going all the way out for a goal kick. You see the urgency of the goal kick. We have another sub for the visitors. So that'll be number 3 entering the match for Kalamazoo. That'll be Laura Giesler. Giesler's going to replace number 6, Madison Canada, who put in an absolute shift today, was running all 75 minutes. She was on the pitch doing a really good job to be in the face of Detroit City FC a lot of the time, and comes off and takes a well-deserved rest at the end of the bench, and a well-deserved sip of water as well. And we'll see, speaking of sip of water, we'll see the water break coming in here for both sides. A much-needed water break for both, I imagine. You see Alexandria to fend there. She's been great tonight, and just another one of those players who I think makes the difference this season. Having a player of her quality who can come in and take minutes off of players early in the season where you have everybody, and then someone you trust to start late in the season when you need to get crucial points.
She has whipped a number of balls across that box today. Haven't really had anybody on the other end of them, but a lot of forward movement coming through her today.
If you see the smartest minds of the USL W League here having a conversation, the whole complement of the coaching staff. Those are sub cards on that notebook right there, so strategizing what the squad's going to look like for this final 15 minutes, as well as the Kalamazoo bench. What do you think is being said in that huddle right now as we enter the final 14 minutes of tonight's contest?
I would assume it's something along the lines of, we need to score to get ourselves back into this match, and they'll be discussing the particulars of how they want to approach that. As I can see a tactic board there from the Kalamazoo coach being displayed around.
Just in big letters, we need 2 goals. Big letters, underlined, circled. We need 2 goals in the final 14 minutes here if we want anything, to keep our season alive in a lot of ways for Kalamazoo. They have played 10 games already, this being their 11th, so only 1 game for them after tonight. So really would need a miracle at this point to get into the playoffs as things stand. I believe Sean's about to dispatch some math that he did at halftime upon everybody.
If the result were to hold, big knock on wood there, Detroit City would be guaranteed to finish above Kalamazoo. Detroit would be sitting on 26 points. Kalamazoo's max would fall to 23 points. Grand Rapids, or
Midwest United.
Midwest from Grand Rapids.
We all know.
Yeah.
We all know.
It would have a potential max points of 27, so it would not be a clinching result for Detroit, but based on results tomorrow, Grand Rapids goes away to Flint.
Midwest United.
Yes.
I know. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Noted. It could come for Detroit as early as tomorrow if this result were to hold.
And then a lot of people, there's debate if the magic number for Detroit City FC is 27 because that's currently Midwest United's max. But the first tiebreaker in the USL W League structure is head-to-head. And while Detroit City FC won against Midwest United here 2-1, they play them on Thursday in Kentwood. So if they were to win by more than one goal, then the favor of the head-to-head would fall back in favor of Midwest United. So maybe that, as Sean Grogan referred to it as a phantom penalty call in the last game last weekend, that might play a factor if it comes down to a head-to-head, but hopefully for Detroit City FC's sake, we don't even have to think about that as we close up on the end of the season here.
Hey, if they can stay undefeated here, that's doing your part.
Doing your part.
Can't worry about what other people are doing.
1.5 playoff spots, right? So as we'll see 3 subs getting ready for Detroit City FC, just receiving final coaching word from Danny Evans and Scott Vlochik down there on the bench. Corner's going to come in for Detroit City FC. That one was, Acadia Murphy was waiting for that one to arrive to her at the back post. We see some final coaching words being said by Danny Evans and Vlochik down there to the 3 subs getting ready to come in. It's going to be Megan Miles, Amanda Britton, and I believe as well we could see a Detroit City FC debut from Sophia Morgan. That one's going to come in, sort of just shoveled at it by Danny Steffen. Steffen with a great job to keep it alive, gets it back over to Romine, who's unable to corral her touch, and that could be her last action of the contest, depending on what numbers come up on this sub board here. Good poke away there by Romine, so and just the physical battle right there. Romine just gets up, not even a, sorry about that, next time will be just gets up and walks away. I think that tells you all you got to know about the vibe between these two sides this season. Played forward by Kalamazoo. Looks like Shriver could be off of her line to claim this one. It's instead headed by Steffen. And Kalamazoo could fashion a chance through the left-footed shot. Comes in. That one had power. That one had pace to it. But it's into the hands of Shriver calmly. And it's still 2-0 here as the clock nearly ticks over into the 80th minute mark. So a triple substitution getting ready for Detroit City here. That one's going to go the way of Kalamazoo FC. As we take a look at the subs here, it will be Sophia Morgan, Amanda Britton, and Megan Miles. Megan Miles was named the woman of the match for Wednesday's win over on the road to Michiana Lions. So good to see her involved. Of course, been around this Detroit City FC women's program since its founding in 2020. Emily Padgett's going to come off. Is that Ella Kane coming off?
Ella Kane and Ella Offer.
Ella Offer. So I believe no Ella's on the field anymore for Detroit City. Drew Martin.
It was Drew Martin who came off. Ella Offer still on the field.
So we still have an Ella representative out there for Rouge. But, I mean, those players that got that ovation coming off, the claps before making way, I mean, that's end of the season, regular season at least here at Keyworth. Of course, there might be another home game in the playoffs if things fall the right way and the bidding process is selected for Detroit City. So that would be the weekend of July 6th. So it could be a great weekend to be a Detroit City FC fan that weekend. You got a playoff game on Friday. If there's a win there, you have another one on Sunday, which could be a final for the conference. And then on Saturday, you have a USL Championship match against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So what a great week of soccer that sounds like, Sean.
Does sound fantastic.
Hopefully a little cooler temperature-wise that weekend. Romine with her back to goal. Didn't end up being her last contribution. She's going to, looks like she'll see this one out. I can't imagine who else Detroit City FC would put on. Looking down the bench. really all the outfield players have already been substituted, so unless Dave Dwayhe wants to try Dayton Waymer in the midfield, I'm not sure if Romine's going to come off of this pitch anytime soon. A physical battle there, and I don't know if it was one out by Ella Offer, but Ella Offer was certainly involved in it. Played forward. Crum's going to be making the run down, but only as far as Mackenzie Jones. It's going to be out for, is this a throw-in?
It's a goal kick.
Goal kick, even better.
Tried to clear the ball up the line. Crum blocked it and went out for a goal kick.
So it'll be a goal kick, and I'm shocked at the lack of urgency from Kalamazoo on this goal kick situation. I guess, you know, just a lot of walking around when you're 2-0 down. Season's on the line, but you do you. Sophia Morgan making her Detroit City FC debut this evening. Kalamazoo playing as direct as they have all night. It's Cohorn that's going to get on the end of this one. Ella Offer has some defending to do outside of the area. Shriver's going to collect that one. Valuable seconds tick off the clock for Detroit City FC and Gabby Shriver. So Sophia Romine tried to slip it through the legs there. It's going to come back out once again to the substitute, Callie Cunningham, who's been excellent since coming on for the visitors. Defend marshals her out wide. It's going to take a deflection and go out for a corner kick. So can Kalamazoo get one and put the pressure on Rouge as we tick into the final 7+ stoppage time at Keyworth? We saw 5 minutes of stoppage time in the first half. Water break. Had another water break in the second half, and also a ton of substitutions. So you imagine the number's going to be similar to that one we saw in the first half. Corner kick played in. A lot of traffic at that near post. It's going to be headed out for a goal kick. So, again, Shriver able to, I think that ball kid got that ball quick over to Shriver. Not sure what that's about. Shriver taking her time, plays it over to, I believe that's Amanda Britton on the far side. You want to talk about Swiss Army knives and players that can play in multiple positions and be involved anywhere on the pitch. Look no further than Amanda Britton, just another one of these players that's incredibly dependable, incredibly solid, and you can put her in at midfield, at left back, clearly right back, anywhere she can play on the pitch. Sophia Romine is going to poke that one forward. Had the substitute up with her. That was Sophia Morgan making a run into the area.
Of course, Amanda Britton, a PASL regular this winter, the indoor season. Really goes to show you how effective that team has been in helping Detroit build out their depth. Keeps the level high for some of these players who aren't playing year-round in colleges.
For sure, and that's kind of been the story of this W League team in a lot of ways, is the players that showed out for the PASL team. Maybe they've not been nailed on starters all season. You know, you think to Kayla Addison, someone who's had their minutes have had to come off of the bench. So we'll pause this thought here as Sophia Romine gets into a dangerous shooting position, elects to play it out wide to Amanda Britton. Britton's going to play right-footed ball into the area to sort of no man's land as Stefan took a shot at it, but unable to make contact with the boot. But the PASL squad has certainly contributed heavily for this W League team, especially later on in the season, and Amanda Britton just another stunning example of that. Defend. Romine running into some space here. We got to get one more Romine, at least a shot here in the final 6 minutes of the regular season at Keyworth. Defend now is going to be in some space on this near side. Cuts back inside. And that one's thrown up that by Stefan. Defend over back to Crum. Crum tries to just dance out of some trouble, but it turns it over the other way. The whole coaching staff just elated at that effort shown on display right there from Hannah Crum. Shriver's going to get to it. Into the dying minutes of this match, and that is about as extreme as it gets right there from Shriver and settling things down and taking seconds off the clock. Had the Kalamazoo forward right in her face right there. That was the newly substituted Laura Geisler.
87 minutes now. I would expect to see another pretty sizable stoppage time as we had another water break. Probably about 4 or 5 minutes left to play after we hit the 90-minute mark.
And this second half, there have been blips from Detroit City FC in moments where they would kind of be concerned about what Kalamazoo was able to create. But other than that, it's been such a mature, controlled second 45 minutes of play where they've had chances of their own, but really they're just locking the game down in the middle of the pitch. And it's coming from clever touches in the midfield from the defenders getting it into the midfield. It's been a really complete performance in the second half from Detroit City. We see some contact that eventually is off of the ball. Both players seem to be slowly getting up, but both eventually get up. Kate Childers gets up and immediately into a little bit of a shoving match there with Bailey Cohorn. It's going to be crossed all the way in, and Schreiber comes out for the punch, has to resort back to her line. Referee looked at the contact that took place inside of the area, but that's never a penalty, especially at this moment in the game. But Hannah Crum's going to play through on goal. Gomez pulls the shirt, but eventually Crum sneaks out of it. Crum has Romine up with her. If she found her behind her, the entirety of Keyworth Stadium is wondering how we don't get a whistle there.
Did look like the referee signaled for advantage. We may see a card come out here when the play finally does stop.
Has
but that's tough because Crum went from having nobody between her and the goal from the shirt pull to having 2 players between her and the goal. So it's really not the same opportunity it was before. And it was possibly a red card offense as denial of goal scoring opportunity there as the last defender, an intentional shirt pull. No real attempt at playing on the ball, even though that's not one of the considerations. It is taken into account by the ref.
Quick shout out in the YouTube chat to Hit Pitman, who has donated $5 to the stream. Looks like he's doing that to replace Chris Mills as cameraman. So I'm not sure what Chris Mills has done wrong, but I'm sure he'll be delighted to know that people are trying to put their money where their mouth is. We'll see a yellow card issued here to Kate Childers, and imagine if the referee is wanting to have a conversation, she would go back and give one. I don't know if one was issued to what happened with Hannah Crum. I didn't see one come out for that. And the crowd voicing the displeasure. That is a decision here at Keyworth Stadium. And we're officially into stoppage time here at Keyworth. Not sure how much, but Detroit City FC looking to just see this one out and sort of avoid the what could turn into a chippy situation here. With the way the calls have been going these last few minutes, as Danny Steffen gets stuck in there and a foul goes the way of Kalamazoo. The Kalamazoo coach asking for more from the officials as Dave Dwayhe's kind of reminding his staff his squad, what the current situation is, the lay of the land, and wanting to stop it. As you see 4 minutes of stoppage time displayed by the 4th official.
Probably about 30 seconds into that at this point. Little bit of frustration showing there from the Kalamazoo player who sort of booted the ball up into the stands after it went out of bounds. But Detroit going to take their time.
Yeah, no rush for Detroit City FC at all. 2-0 advantage is a lot different than the goal that when they conceded against Midwest United when there was still 15 minutes left to play. You felt like they could go out and get something, and honestly, they nearly did at the end of that match. But now you're into stoppage time. You've controlled the whole game. Things are getting chippy, but you can kind of ignore that because of the current situation that you're in. And as we see another situation right there with Gomez, who's lucky not to be on a yellow card after the shirt pull there on Crum. So an interesting decision from the official to not go back and give the yellow, especially when one was handed out to Childers for a minimal offense. Cunningham now bursting forward as Morgan defending with her. It's going to elect to have Tefend do some defending now. It's going to be crossed into the area, and Gabby Shriver is going to be played out and into her hands. And we're just going to calm down a little bit. We're just going to calm down, and we're just going to see where we're at. Can't be more than a couple minutes remaining of stoppage time. That one's headed out and into the ooh. Depth perception got the better. I thought for sure that was going out in the stands.
Out for a Detroit throw-in.
So, Sean, it's been such a fun year, a fun slate of home matches at Keyworth Stadium. Detroit City FC looking to make it a perfect 6 out of 6 in the win column, only drawing twice this season, both on the road, first to Cleveland and then, or excuse me, first to Kalamazoo, then to Cleveland recently. You couldn't have asked for better for the fans here at Keyworth and the squad, the performances they've put on this season. We might get a third goal here, and
half of the stadium thought that was in. It's just on the other side of the netting, unfortunately.
I thought that was. I almost yelled so loudly. I thought that was the most surefire goal I've ever seen. And then when the official pointed to the goal kick, I thought she was alerting that it was 3-0 at Keyworth. So what a perfect way to end my little ramble that would have been by Kate Childers going and adding a third goal in this game. That would have been absolutely incredible. Just cut inside. Yeah. I mean, can you blame us for thinking that that was a goal? It's unbelievable.
Back to your point, though, it really has been a fun season, especially the home matches, taking home all of the points at this point in the regular season.
And we can't thank those enough that have made this possible. Our partners at CBSDetroit.com been absolutely fantastic this entire W League season. Everyone that's produced the games for us, everyone that's been up top on a camera for us all season, it's been a great thing to be a part of, and hopefully we get to do it again in a few weeks, the weekend of July 6th, when the first round of the playoffs come, and that's the final whistle. Detroit City FC picks up another massive 3 points and gets that much closer to a spot in the 2024 USL W League playoffs. It could happen as soon as tomorrow if Midwest United is unable to get the 3 points on Sunday, but then Detroit City FC travels to Midwest, and then on Sunday travels to AFC Ann Arbor, and either of those matches could clinch it for the Rouge. Thank you guys so much for joining us on CBSDetroit.com today, all season. Hopefully we'll see you there back the weekend of July 6th for what would be a playoff weekend for Detroit City. As always, I've been Jarrett Mackey alongside Sean Grogan. We'll catch you in the next one.